Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Adidas Messi 15.1 in the latest black, solar green, and solar red colorway. Now inside the box, they do include a string bag to go along with the shoes themselves. You can see it does come in a Messi specific box, as every colorway has. The bag is black in color with black strings. It features the Messi logo in white at the top, and then this little kind of DNA graphic in silver and lime green that matches the Messi frame on the shoe. And on the back of the bag, you're going to find that you have the Adidas football branding in white. Other than that, all you're going to find inside the box are the shoes themselves. So we'll get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at the latest colorway of the Adidas Messi 15.1, which has been a pretty controversial release in that a lot of people don't like how these things look. Now, of course, they have changed up the look a little bit with this new colorway. We're going to be taking a closer look at the colorway in the video. We're going to be talking tech specs, performance details, taking a look at how much these things weigh, as well as talking about how these things fit and feel on feet. So if you are interested in learning more about this particular colorway of the Messi 15.1, please stick around and watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you'll find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $220 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's take a closer look at the colorway. Now, obviously the shoe features three main colors: black, solar green, which is the lime green color that you see, and solar red, which is the orange color that you see. It's definitely more of an orange than a red, so just keep that in mind. Hopefully that does come through in the video. The combination of colors, I don't think it looks bad, but it's not, for me personally, I'm not crazy about it. Just the combination of orange and lime green is a little bit strange to me, but like I said, with the design they've implemented here, I certainly don't think that it looks bad. It's just not my personal favorite. Now, in comparison to previous Messi colorways, obviously you're going to find this graphic that spans the heel and tongue area of the shoe that I think actually looks pretty cool. You can see they implemented a fade design here in the Messi frame rubberized support cage, where it starts off as solar red and then fades into black, which I think is kind of a cool little design as opposed to it just being a completely solid color. Obviously, you do have the Adidas branding on both of the heels as opposed to one of the heels having Adidas branding and the other one having the Messi logo, because instead of putting the Messi logo on the heel, they've plastered the Messi logo right here on the front of the shoe, which is a very bold design element and probably the most distinctively different looking aspect of this new colorway versus the previous two Messi 15.1 colors. Again, it's an interesting element. Obviously, it's his signature shoe, so you want his logo to be, I guess, fairly noticeable on the shoe, and they've definitely done that successfully with this design, especially with this lime green to orange fade. It stands out against that black background. But again, for me personally, not crazy about how this looks. I like the more simple styling of the previous two colorways, but that's just my opinion. And then another noticeable difference in regards to how the shoe looks is the actual Messi Touch upper, which is not the same texturing. The other one has kind of more like a golf ball like texturing. This one has more of like a snake scale like texturing, which I actually think looks pretty cool. And then of course the sole plate is mostly black with green studs, and then you have some of that stripy solar red graphic right there running through the heel and midfoot area. So overall, it's a very interesting looking shoe. People seem to like it better than the previous Messi 15.1 colorways. Not me personally, but again, that's a personal opinion. Everybody has their own. Let me know what you think of them down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the tech specs so we can learn a little bit more about the overall performance. As far as performance is concerned, I actually really like the feel of the Messi 15.1, although it is a little bit unusual. Often when I'm asked about these new Adidas models, the current lineup, the Messi 15.1, X 15.1, and Ace 15.1, people want me to compare them all to each other. So if you're having a hard time deciding between any of the three current Adidas models, there's actually a comparison video between all three already up on my channel. I'll leave an annotation on screen. You can go ahead and check it out, and it should help you out significantly, again, if you're trying to pick between the Messi, the Ace, and the X. So the Messi 15.1, what's it all about? Design-wise, it's most similar to what we previously got from the F50 line, but the overall feel of the shoe on foot, as well as just in terms of how it performs in general, is quite a bit different. It's a synthetic upper, and it's got a cleverly named synthetic upper. It's what they call Messi Touch. And essentially what it is a thinner synthetic. It's not quite as thin as what you're going to get from the X 15.1, and it's a whole lot different than what you get from the Ace 15.1, but it's still very, very nice. I'm going to make the argument that this new colorway, because of its different texturing, does change the feel of the synthetic a little bit. To me, it feels a little bit thinner, both in hand as well as on feet, and I would argue it's a little bit softer as well. With that being said, I feel like the finish on the surface of the two previous colorways comes across as a little bit more rugged and a little bit more premium. So while this is a little bit softer out of the box, it won't necessarily be dramatically different in comparison to the previous colors if you're talking about a broken in pair. So again, a little bit thinner, a little bit softer to the touch out of the box, but the overall difference from the previous colorways is still going to be pretty minor, so keep that in mind. The other thing you're going to notice with the upper, as far as the little difference is concerned, is this little extra layer of material they put here around the toe box area where the upper meets the sole plate. So that's kind of an interesting little element. You don't get that on the previous colorways, but again, I think this might have to do with the different texturing that they've implemented on this later colorway. Why have they changed the texturing, you might ask? I have no idea. You'd have to ask Adidas for the answer to that question. All I can tell you is that they've done it, and it feels just a little bit different than the previous ones. Laces run through the middle of the shoe, as you guys can see. No changes there. And then from basically the black part back, so it's got this kind of diagonal cut, a 45-degree angle in the midfoot area. From there back, it's a different type of synthetic that is a lot firmer and definitely not as touch-oriented as the front piece, but it also features this very interesting Messi frame system, which you can see here in the black and orange fade. Essentially what it is a fairly thick layer of rubber, so you can see it right here. Definitely got some good thickness to it, and it sits directly on top of the actual upper itself and lines up with the kind of top 4 lace holes here, but it's completely independent other than where it attaches right here, and of course along the bottom, as well as along the back of the shoe where you can see it's stitched to the heel area. So this system is obviously supposed to act as some kind of a support lock-in system. So when you pull the laces tight, it's not only going to pull on this part of the upper, it's also going to pull on this Messi frame and hold your foot in place. I would argue that the amount of actual structure that this adds to the shoe is not overly significant, although once you do pull the laces tight, this is a very responsive shoe. Your foot is not sliding around whatsoever, which is really, really good. But the negatives or positives, depending on what you like, in terms of how this Messi frame impacts the feel of the shoe is, one, it adds some bulk to the ankle area, especially when you look down at your feet, which is kind of uncharacteristic of a shoe that is a thin synthetic upper. But again, you have this extra bulky Messi frame system on top that some people just quite honestly will not like. If you don't want a bulkier feel to your thin synthetic shoe, this is not for you. And the second thing that it impacts as far as performance is concerned is actual grip on the ball. Because it is rubber, not only is it going to act as a more structured area of the upper, it also makes more grip on the ball when it makes contact with the ball. So depending on what part of the foot you're using to strike the ball, especially when you're trying to curl it here with the inside of your foot or even around the laces, you're going to get that little bit of extra grip, which acts as somewhat of a striking / control element depending on how you want to look at it. It'll catch you off guard the first couple times you kick the ball in this particular shoe, but once you get used to it, it's something that I actually came to really, really like with the Messi 15.1. The main takeaway here is that yes, this is a thin synthetic soccer shoe, but it doesn't necessarily feel like you're running around barefoot. It definitely has some bulk to it. It definitely has some padding to it, which, like I said, is kind of uncharacteristic from this style of soccer shoe. Moving into the heel area, it does have an internal plastic heel counter, low cut at the back as you would expect. Smooth synthetic leather liner, synthetic suede liner, on the inside with a decent amount of padding, so step-in comfort is not an issue whatsoever. Speaking of the liner though, the rest of the shoe aside from the heel is lined in this fairly cheap kind of slippery material that doesn't necessarily feel uncomfortable, but I'm just not crazy about it, and I feel like it adds unnecessary bulk to the upper, but it is something that Adidas has done, so there's not really anything you can do about it. The insole is fully removable. It features a synthetic mesh, synthetic suede, liner on top. You can see it says Messi 15.1 built to win, just like the other colorways do. And it's just made from a single layer of this foam, not too far off from what you're going to find from the other Adidas models as far as insoles go. Nothing fancy, but it does get the job done. And then moving on to the sole plate and stud pattern. The sole plate definitely has an unusual look to it in that you have all of these cutouts in the actual bottom of the shoe. But there's kind of a two-piece system here, similar to the X15.1, where there's a plastic plate underneath. Then they wrap it with the same material that you'll find on the upper to give it kind of a cooler aesthetic, I guess. And then the stud plate goes on top of that. So these cutouts are actually solid in between, so you're not going to feel any kind of pressure where the cutouts are at the bottom of the sole plate in terms of what you can actually see. As far as stiffness goes, this definitely is one of the stiffer models from Adidas. I would say it's maybe even a little bit stiffer than what you get from the X15.1. So that is something to take note of. The first couple times you wear these, depending on what your tolerances are for sole plate flexibility, you may find these a little bit uncomfortable, but once broken in, you're not going to have any issues. They do loosen up significantly after some wear time, but just keep in mind that this shoe definitely does have more of a solid feel on feet. It's not overly thin and it's not overly flexible, which again, despite how they may look, makes them feel a lot different from previous F50 models from Adidas. As far as the stud pattern is concerned, this is what you get exclusively on the Messi 15.1, or the Messi line, I should say. Again, very much based off of what we've seen in the past from the F50 line, but unlike those models, it's FG-AG, meaning that you can use this, or it's supposed to be suitable for use on firm natural grass as well as artificial grass. It's definitely more of a firm ground stud pattern in my opinion, best suited for use on natural grass. And if you do choose to use these on artificial grass, they will get the job done, but it definitely doesn't feel like an AG specific stud pattern, which is kind of what you get more so with the Ace 15.1, which is more of a true FG-AG hybrid in my opinion. But either way, if you play on both firm natural grass and artificial grass and you only want to buy one pair of shoes, the new Adidas models, whether it's the X, the Ace, or the Messi 15.1, will get that job done for you. And as far as this stud pattern is concerned, you can see it's mostly triangular shaped studs, whereas the front two studs and the very back two studs start off as triangles at the base and then end up as rounded conical studs at the tip. So it's a good stud pattern. It's fairly aggressive. Again, not too far off from what we got from the 2014 and 2015 F50 Adizero models. It works really well on both types of playing surfaces that I just mentioned. And as far as traction is concerned, no complaints here whatsoever. It's aggressive where it needs to be. You never feel like you're locked in place, and it just does its job. So that's pretty much it as far as tech specs go. Next, let's move on to a quick weigh-in so we can see how lightweight these guys are. For the sake of the video, I thought we'd weigh the shoes in real time so we can see exactly how much they weigh. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. We're going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 8.05 ounces, the equivalent of 228 grams. So to compare it to another current Adidas model, the X15.1 in the same size weighs in at about 7.6 to 7.8 ounces. So these do weigh about a half ounce more than the X15.1 model, which is not a significant amount of weight. The biggest difference that you're going to notice coming from an X15.1 to the Messi line is just the overall fit and feel of the shoe. They're two entirely different products in terms of how they fit, feel, and perform. So for me, the Messi 15.1 is just kind of an unusual package. It doesn't really compare to anything else out there. So if what I'm telling you sounds really good, if this seems like an attractive option, you're unlikely going to have any issues with the weight. They feel nice and light on your feet. They fit really well. They're very responsive. And for most people, that's going to be plenty. If the aim is to have the thinnest, lightest possible synthetic soccer shoe money can buy, the Messi 15.1 quite simply is not that. All right, so here is a look at the Messi 15.1s on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock black laces that come with the shoes. And on my right foot, I have a pair of lime green reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. You find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they're very comfortable from right out of the box. It is a tighter fitting shoe. I wouldn't say it's quite as snug as what you get with the X15.1, but it's pretty close. They're going to be suitable for most foot types in terms of width, but they're not really going to stretch all that much, especially through the midfoot because of this rubberized Messi frame system, because obviously the rubber is not going to give at all, especially once you pull those laces tight. The synthetic at the front is soft and flexible and will get more flexible over time as you wear them in. And like I said, it's a comfortable feeling shoe. There's some stiffness from the sole plate, but they definitely don't feel overly stiff to me, and heel lockdown is not an issue whatsoever either. As far as the stability that you get from that Messi frame system, it's not something that is super noticeable when you actually tie the laces tight. There's not any specific pressure where the cage is actually located, but like I said, the shoes overall feel pretty solid on your foot, and your foot's not sliding around on the inside, which is the most important element here. Again, width-wise, they're going to be suitable for most people as long as they don't have excessively wide feet. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the latest Messi 15.1 colorway from Adidas. If you guys are interested in more info on this shoe, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you'll find the high quality images of this exact shoe that I took myself. They give you a better idea as to how they actually do look in person, as well as buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $220 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding the Messi 15.1, leave them down below in the comment section. I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.